April 12, 1961, a date in history that needs no reminder. Everyone knows that on this day, the world witnessed the first human space flight. In this video, I'll be talking about the first human space flight. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on genuinely valuable information. At 9:07 a.m. Moscow time, just north of the town of Tyuratam in Kazakhstan, the Baikonur Cosmodrome launched the Vostok rocket. It carried the Soviet spacecraft Vostok, with Yuri Alexeyevich Gagarin on board into Earth's orbit. The duration of the flight was 1 hour and 48 minutes. During his time in orbit, Gagarin maintained radio communication with Earth, observed through the spacecraft's windows, and monitored the ship's systems. After completing one orbit around Earth, the descent module of the spacecraft landed in the Saratov region of the USSR, as planned. Several kilometers above the Earth's surface, the cosmonaut ejected and safely parachuted near the landing site. Yuri Gagarin touched down at 10:55 a.m. Moscow time. In recognition of his successful execution of the government mission as the first human in space, Yuri Gagarin was granted the honorary military rank of Major by the Minister of Defense of the USSR. On April 14, 1961, by the decree of the Presidium of the Supreme Soviet of the USSR, Yuri Alexeyevich Gagarin was awarded the title of Hero of the Soviet Union. The first human spaceflight held paramount significance for the further development of space exploration and all of humanity. Despite the designer's concerns, the radio communication during liftoff remained stable. Gagarin commented on what he saw. "I see the Earth. What beauty!" One can only speculate about the emotions he experienced, as no one before him had seen the Earth from space with their own eyes. The spacecraft then entered Earth's orbit. During the flight, the cosmonaut made entries in the logbook, consumed food and water, and provided commentary on his sensations, recording them on a tape recorder. Despite the eventual success, the launch process and the flight itself were not without anomalies. The spacecraft entered orbit approximately 85 kilometers higher than planned. The danger lay in the potential failure of the braking system, which could have resulted in the spacecraft staying in orbit for several weeks, exceeding the life support system's intended capacity of 10 days. In the end, the technology didn't fail, although the engine didn't operate at full power, resulting in a shallower descent trajectory. There was no separation of the compartments before entering the atmosphere, causing the spacecraft to spin chaotically. However, the cosmonaut managed to handle this situation, not losing his composure. As Gagarin reported, "I figured I'd land fine because there are about 6,000 kilometers to the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union is about 8,000 kilometers. So I'll land somewhere in the Far East. Didn't make a fuss." Reported over the phone that the separation didn't happen. After entering the dense layers of the atmosphere, the spacecraft's hull caught fire, and streams of molten metal could be seen flowing along the body. Landing inside the descent module was not planned due to concerns that the hatch might weld shut upon re-entry into the atmosphere. At an altitude of 7 kilometers, Gagarin ejected and safely descended to the ground. At 10:55 a.m., despite the course deviation, he landed on the territory of his homeland, near the village of Smolovka in the Saratov region. Anna Nilovna Toktarova and her granddaughter Rita were the first to encounter the cosmonaut. None of the local residents expected a visitor from space. Gagarin recalled, "I went out onto a hill, and I see a woman with a girl coming towards me. She was about 800 meters away from me. I started walking towards her, planning to ask where the telephone was. As I approached, I noticed that the woman was slowing down her pace, and the girl was moving away from her and heading back. That's when I started waving my arms and shouting, 'It's one of ours, Soviet, don't be afraid, don't be alarmed, come here.'